Planning and Infrastructure Expo Conference 2025. Session: Patient-Centric Design in Healthcare Architecture. The moderator of the session will be Bobby Ramesh, Group Director, Nursing Excellence, Sarvodaya Healthcare. I request everyone to help me in welcoming Bobby Ramesh on the stage with a big round of applause. Dr. Nareen Sehgal, Medical Director, Artemis Hospital. Architect Neha Arora.
Please join me in welcoming our esteemed panelists, Dr. Nareen Sehgal, Medical Director and Head of Department Minimal Access Bariatric and General Surgery, Sehgal Neo Hospital, Finance Secretary, Consortium of Accredited Hospitals, CAHO, and he is also the Secretary of Delhi State AHPI. Thank you, sir, for joining in spite of your busy schedule. I would also like to welcome Architect Neha Arora, who's a Senior Architect, Project Manager, Vice President at HKS Architects, which is EBD, Environment, Evidence-Based Design Certified, which is quite interesting, which is the core theme for this conference as well. So welcome Architect Neha Arora to the panel. As we all gather here at the Healthcare Planning and Infrastructure Expo and Conference 2025 under the inspiring theme Vision for Health, Building a Viksit Bharat through Innovative Infrastructure, we recognize that the future of healthcare is not only about advanced technology and medical expertise, but also about creating environments that place the patient at the heart of care delivery. It is my privilege to be a moderator for this panel discussion on patient-centric design in healthcare and healthcare planning. In today's rapidly evolving healthcare landscape, the emphasis on patient-centric design is more critical than ever. It goes beyond mere aesthetics or functionality. It fundamentally transforms how healthcare environments support healing, comfort, and dignity. As we witness advancements in medical technology and treatment protocols, it's imperative that the physical space where care is delivered also evolve to meet the holistic needs of patients, families, and healthcare providers. This panel discussion will provide a valuable opportunity to explore how thoughtfully designed healthcare infrastructure can enhance not only clinical outcomes but also the overall patient experience, fostering trust and well-being in every aspect of care delivery. We'll be having 3 rounds, and my first question would be to Dr. Nareen Sehgal. What does patient-centric design mean to you, and how important is the hospital environment in enhancing patient outcomes? Over to you, Dr. Sehgal.
Thank you, Bobby. Let me start with a simple statement of the transition which I have felt in the last 30 years that I have been practicing as a clinician, as a surgeon. There was a time when we used to treat patients and we were also close to the patient and the family. That thing has changed now. Nowadays, most of the clinicians you will find, they see the reports, they give a diagnosis and write the treatment. Probably they have not even touched the patient. I think that's the kind of change we have seen with the technology, with the gadgetry, with the advancement in investigations which has come in. I don't know if this is good, but I don't think it is good at all. So what we need to do as a patient-centric design of a hospital, that we have to see and design a hospital space in such a way that it responds to the physical, emotional, and psychological needs of the patient. We have to prioritize healing, safety and dignity and comfort of the patient. We have to design with empathy, not just efficiency. This is a change we have to bring in. We have to give soul again to our hospital design.
So thank you so much, Dr. Sehgal, for your thoughts on the importance of hospital environment in enhancing patient outcomes. My next question would be to architect Neha Arora. Is patient-centric enough or does the hospital need more? Considering that you are an evidence-based design architect, I request you to throw some light on this.
Yeah, I think I agree with doctor and you also. It is not just patient-centric, and we were discussing this, that it's very important that it is a cohesive system. It has to be a systemic approach. So we've stopped calling it patient-centric. Even the evidence-based design has now started calling it as people-centric design. Because every person coming in the hospital, working for the hospital and with the hospital is equally important. And I think this was even discussed in the session before, that why it is important that all the stakeholders are involved and they are part of the decision making when we design buildings. So till the time everybody is not valued and their intent is not considered, they don't feel the ownership of what they are getting into. So if you start involving nurses, you are ensuring that the workflows are taken care of, and if they are not fatigued, they will be happily taking care of the patients. So, happy nurses is happy and sooner recovery patients. And similarly, when you are looking at patients, what is important in patient when we say patient-centric design? It is generally the safety, the privacy of the patient, and also how the families are taken care of. So, small aspect, when we come to the hospital should not be a stigma that, you are sick, you are coming there. Hospital should also be for wellness. Why do we look at hospitals as illness? I think the moment we start thinking hospitals as wellness, then the illness, that's the change that we will try to bring. It is very important how you make the hospital. The design of the hospital should be easy because patients already are so stressed. The moment they enter in, if there are no signages, if the design is complicated, it just adds to the anxiety. It adds to the confusion. So when you say patient-centric, what are you doing? Small changes. You make the design logical. You make the environment inviting. The families coming with them are given space. So you must have seen in many hospitals, there are patients in ICU, but families are like standing outside, anxious. But if you just give them space to settle down, that just gives them a trust that somebody inside is fine and will be called. So small changes in design has very big impact.
So thank you, Neha. But then you were mentioning one important point of involving the stakeholders
Yes.
here. So do you feel that hospitals, while designing itself or involving the stakeholders, especially the doctors and the nurses especially work with the patients 24/7? Because I have worked in many of the corporate hospitals and standalone hospitals, but when it comes to commissioning of a hospital or construction, in the boardroom for any such discussions, the important stakeholders are not involved, the nurses and the doctors. And what I have observed is that once it is commissioned and then they are called to set up the unit, and they say that we do not have a dirty utility area, our nursing station is not central to monitoring the patients, we are finding it difficult, and so many such minute things, very simple things but very important things come into our knowledge. And I do feel that it is very important to involve the stakeholders who are with the patients 24/7 and who have to monitor and who have to care for the patients during the designing phase, during the construction phase itself, and their inputs have to be taken.
I think yes, that change is now coming, at least the organization that I am presenting right now. We actually even educate the client. When we are given a project, we actually tell them that we need user group meetings. And when we say user group, it will also have doctors as separate user, it will have clinicians. We also ensure that we are talking to facility managers, because a lot of time what happens, we give finishes as architects and interior designers, which are not even being maintained. So, so these facility managers will actually tell you that we face challenges with this material, don't use this material. So when it's like, how we say democracy, you are designing for them. So you have to involve them. They have a voice which needs to be heard. So it's very important that in the concept stage itself, if everybody is involved, their inputs are involved, your design is for them, for everybody who's working. So they will also feel, yeah, I only told this, so I know it will work. So, small change like having a wash basin in the nurse station.
Absolutely.
And not having a wash basin now in the room because people are using it for wash utensils. So they give this inputs. Don't give them in the room. Give it outside the room, in the corridor, in a niche, so that the water doesn't spill. So small these details make a lot of big difference in the operations.
Yeah, absolutely right. Dr. Sehgal, Neha was mentioning about hospital should not only be a treatment facility, it should be a wellness center. When they come, the patients or the relatives, they should have that positive feeling, not only a depressive feeling coming to the hospital for treatment. It should be a wellness center. What are your thoughts on this? And what do you feel are the common pitfalls in the hospital designing which affect the patient experience negatively?
That's a important and a good question, Bobby. See, right since beginning, and I remember my first year of MBBS, we were taught prevention is better than cure. But ironically, all through we have been progressing towards disease and treatment. The prevention and the human has disappeared somewhere in between. And the whole world is transforming. We have become so commercial that this commercial angle takes away the soul even more. What is required is, right from the inception when we are building a hospital. See, whatever has happened. Fitting things retrospectively or retrofitting all these things is usually not possible. So right since the time of inception, things should be planned, and prevention, wellness should be planned right from the beginning and should be included in the patient-centric hospitals. And second very important thing is, as she has said, that Neha just told us that it has to be, all stakeholders have to be involved. I think along with doctors and nurses and admin people, it should also be patients. And I think that can only happen usually when you keep on taking on continuous basis their feedback. What did you like? What you didn't like? I will give you an example. I expanded my hospital in 2011. And when the architect who was already designing hospitals came and designed a 80-bed facility for me. And when we took the round, after having seen the design, we had some misgivings about it. And when they actually started building the hospital, we realized it has very small windows. And we just put our foot down. It has to be big windows. We want natural light to come in. And they said, no, for an architect, you ask us how will we fit in things? Where will we put the TV? Where will we have the bed? All those things, practical things were brought in. Where will we have your gas point? I said, nothing doing. Do whatever. But my window has to be 8 by 10. And there was so much of greenery around. I tell you, I really realized the importance of this when I myself got admitted during COVID. And I realized it's such a relief which you get. That is also healing you. In COVID, I think there was nothing helping us except the support, the psychology, and your surroundings. So it should include the patient's thought process, psychology, what he wants, and also the family. If the family is with the patients, if it is inclusive of their needs, I think it makes a lot of difference. I know of one, I will not name a person, one orthopedic surgeon. When my mother got a knee replacement done, we were not allowed to see her for 7 days. I tell you, it was the biggest psychological trauma which I faced as a doctor. I could not convince them that I want to meet my mother. How will she get this emotional support? So I think these things have to be, all these practical examples have to be incorporated when you are building a hospital.
Very
I
rightly said, Dr. Sehgal. Dr. Sehgal mentioned that it is not only the doctors, nurses, and other stakeholders from the hospital side, but also patients and their families' inputs and needs also have to be considered. Very rightly said. And many hospitals are now going in for even ICU, patient-friendly, patient-relatives-friendly. Hospitals are allowing patient-relative to be with the patients. There are hospitals which are allowing even pets also to visit the patient. So things are changing. I'd like to quote a famous quote by Steve Jobs, who said that design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works. This quote emphasizes the importance of innovations and evidence-based design. Now, my next question would be to architect Neha Arora. How evidence-based design has supported, design principles have supported the patient-centric design? Can you quote 2 or 3 examples for the same?
Yes, sure. I think you said it very rightly. When you said that, is it just the outcomes? And I think empathy is one key thing which is missing, and we've started calling it empathic designing that we do. Even like waiting areas, the chairs for the patients coming in need to have space for the wheelchairs, because visitors can be on wheelchairs also. Nowadays, everybody's working. So if there are 2 hours long wait time and there's somebody has a call, an office call, they should have charging points. So, as designers, we need to look at design in different aspects also, apart from the finishes. So I think one of the biggest examples of evidence-based design is what Sir said, and I'll just add to that how a window, just a window, adds to healing. One, the patient gets to know, even if they're in ICU, that it's day, it's night. So the circadian rhythm of a body reacts to it. Second thing, how small change like having guardrails. So if patient has to get up second day and walk, a small guardrail gives that patient a comfort that they are empowered. And then just controlling the light or the temperature. Even that small empowerment to a patient makes them feel that it's very important. And I think very well said, the family. Because in India, we are blessed that we have support system, which is not in the case of countries like US and UK. But now that's becoming a norm, that the families are asked to actually come twice, even in ICU. Though I know it's a part of the debate that whether they should be allowed to be there or not for longer, because sometimes it becomes inefficient for the nurses to work when the patient gets critical, because the families get little paranoid on seeing so many machines around them. But yes, there have been a lot of discussions on how families can be involved. And that's why we ensure that, patients are given that family zone in the room itself. But one thing that we learned during COVID and other ways also is how important it is to have partitions in ICU. This not only adds the privacy, but one major issue is the hospital-acquired infections. And I think, sir, sorry, it's your department, but we've always learned as architects that patients have prolonged stays because of hospital-acquired infections. They have long stays because of falls that they have because they don't have enough support. Sometimes they just get up and they don't have a handrail to hold on to. So these design changes are the outcomes that we do research and we learn and imply on new designs.
Thank you so much, Neha. You rightly mentioned all these small little things are very, very important to make the patient feel empowered, and also such designs and such privacies. A small thing like a hand wash basin at the nursing station, it helps in preventing hospital-acquired infections, and it will end up, otherwise it will lead to more cost for the patient as well as to the organization, which many of us fear about, because if there is a litigation, then hospital's reputation will be affected. If it is a long stay due to complication, not only the patient, the entire family will be affected. So the design plays a lot in preventing all these pitfalls. Now my next question is to Dr. Sehgal. How do you envision patient-centric design shaping the future of hospital infrastructure in India, especially in the context of building a Viksit Bharat?
See, what might ultimately happen, I don't know, because a lot of commercial factors are there. But what I dream and what I feel should be there is in context with the preventive medicine, which should, be a major, it should play a major role in our treatment planning for the future. The patient-centric preventive to treatment to home care kind of concept has to come in. There should be a good amount of importance and area which is designated to preventive care. It should be planned right from the beginning. And if the patient requires treatment and is admitted to the facility, it should include proper counseling and involvement of the relatives. Like what has started nowadays is in a luxury labor room, the husbands are allowed to be there in the delivery room. We had a lot of apprehensions that, what will happen, but ultimately we have realized that 95% of the times it improves the outcomes, the comfort with the patient in labor has. Though initially our doctors were little apprehensive, but they got used to it, and their mannerism, their treatment of the patient, of the nurses also, how they behave in front of the relatives has changed for the better. So why shouldn't it be inclusive? And another thing which I can see coming in next 5 to 10 years is when the patient leaves the hospital. Because you see, we are very short of beds. If I can save even one day of my patient bed and give it to another patient, and when I send the patient home, if I can provide that infrastructure and that support at home, I'll be able to gain a lot. So our design should also include a follow-up care, which is better, more comprehensive, and does complete the treatment cycle for such a patient.
So thank you so much, Dr. Sehgal, and I'd like to quote our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji here, who said that the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. Everything is focused on an outcome and a future vision to build our Bharat. For a better focused outcome, we need to focus on best evidence-based practices, based hospital designs. My question is to the audience. Do you all agree with this? Do you all agree with that? If yes, please say yes. Some of you all are dozing behind. For a better focused outcome, we need to focus on best evidence practices, and I'm sure that the audience also will agree with me. So here my next question is to architect Neha Arora. What is the biggest benefit of adopting evidence-based design? What is the biggest benefit, especially when that is your specialty? What is the biggest this thing? Please quote few examples.
So I'll just say, as been taught, evidence-based design is basically designing based on research for desired outcomes. Exactly what you mentioned. So when we are designing basis the research that has been done over the years with the evidences, the outcome is going to be tangible. I think when we say outcomes, it's a very loose term. But when we say tangible outcomes, it just makes sense, because in the end, everything ends up being at revenue. So I think when you know that your outcome will come after 2 years or 3 years, you are prepared. But when the outcomes come, the ROI also becomes better, right? So I think evidence-based design has helped in that. So when we are setting the goals for the project, you will just say, I want a hospital with the best air quality. So you know what you want to work on. You know what systems you have to get in place. You know how it's help in healing, 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 help in healing. Help in healing, 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 help help in healing, 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 help in healing.